Flirting is something we all recognize, yet often struggle to define. It can be as simple as a smile, a playful tease, or a meaningful glance that lingers just a moment too long. But beneath the charm and gestures lies a complex psychological dance rooted deep in human behavior. And from an evolutionary perspective, flirting is not just play, it's strategy. It's how we signal interest, evaluate compatibility, and establish trust long before a word about commitment is spoken. When someone flirts, their brain is sending subtle but powerful messages. I'm confident, I'm interested, and I'm worth your attention. But why do we flirt? The answer is layered. At its core, flirting serves three psychological functions. First, it communicates attraction. It lets someone know you're drawn to them without laying your heart on the table. Second, it helps us test the waters of mutual interest, a way of asking, are you into me, without actually asking. And third, it gives us a way to express our personality and charm. In short, it's how we advertise ourselves socially and our impartial success in the dating circles and in our political affiliations. Science. Flirting triggers the release of dopamine, the brain's pleasure chemical. That's why even small flirtations like eye contact or a compliment can make you feel energized and alive. For some, flirting is even more about the feeling than the outcome. It's the thrill of possibility that lights up our psychology, and women often use overt signals like humor, confidence, and physical presence. Women, on the other hand, tend to use subtler cues like touch, tone, and body language. But regardless of gender, effective flirting is less about the tactic and more about the connection. The best flirts aren't just attractive. They're present, curious, and emotionally intelligent. Flirting can be playful or serious, innocent or intentional, but what matters most is authenticity. When it's genuine, it becomes magnetic. When it's manipulative, it backfires. People can sense when you're trying too hard, and they can feel when you're being real. In the end, flirting is not just about romance, right? Because there's so much availability in couple sessions, but it's saying, I see you, I'm interested, and I'm bold. Get enough to show it. It's the spark that starts the fire, the glance that says more than 1,000 words. So the next time you catch someone's eye, remember, flirting isn't a game, it's a language. And if you speak it with confidence and sincerity, it can open doors you never knew existed. Flirting is a social signaling system, a subtle, intricate form of communication that transcends words and reaches into the core of human interaction. It's not just a random set of behaviors or gestures. It's a complex psychological tool that human beings have developed to express interests, assess compatibility, and initiate relationships. This system operates across various layers, from body language and tone of voice to eye contact and humor, each element playing a critical role in how individuals connect with each other. At its core, flirting is a means of signaling romantic or sexual interest without direct verbal declarations. It's the social version of a handshake, a gesture that says, I see you and I want to know more. What makes flirting especially fascinating is its universality. Across cultures and elections, humans have found ways to flirt through dance, glances, witty banter, or shared laughter. While the styles may differ based on cultural norms and social expectations, the purpose remains consistent: to initiate a connection and test the potential for deeper engagement. This consistency speaks to its evolutionary roots. In the earliest human societies, the ability to signal attraction in a way that was safe, non-threatening, and open to interpretation gave individuals a distinct advantage. It allowed people to express interest while preserving their dignity and avoiding outright rejection. Essentially, it functioned as a low-risk way to explore mating possibilities. At the psychological level, flirting allows individuals to gauge each other's openness, availability, and mutual interest. A smile held a little longer, a slight lean towards someone in conversation, or a playful tease. These are signals embedded with meaning. This subtle cue allow people to engage in a dynamic back and forth that doesn't require full commitment, but opens the door for deeper interaction. The brain is Naturally wired to pick up on these micro signals. We are constantly assessing others' responses, adjusting our behavior based on feedback, and interpreting nuances that are often unconscious. This real-time analysis of social cues makes flirting feel intuitive, even though it involves a great deal of cognitive processing. Flirting is also a display of social intelligence. To flirt effectively, one must read the room, understand boundaries, and balance boldness with sensitivity. It's not simply about being attractive, it's about being engaging and emotionally aware. People who flirt well typically demonstrate traits like confidence, playfulness, and empathy. They are tuned in to how their actions are received and can pivot when needed. This makes flirting not just a mating strategy, but a broader indicator of interpersonal skill. In many cases, people flirt not only to spark romantic interest, but to build rapport, diffuse tension, or express friendliness in a socially acceptable way. Importantly, flirting is also a non-verbal language. Much of its effectiveness comes from body language, open posture, eye contact, mirroring, and touch. Eye contact in particular plays a central role. When someone locks eyes with you and holds that gaze just a bit longer than usual, it triggers an emotional response. The pupils dilate, the heart rate increases, and the brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical associated with pleasure and motivation. These physical reactions reinforce the emotional connection, making the flirting experience more memorable and impactful. Similarly, touch, whether a light brush on the arm or a playful nudge, carries significant in signaling interest and testing boundaries. What makes flirting even more powerful is its ambiguity. Unlike a direct confession of affection, flirting leaves room for interpretation. This ambiguity serves as both a protective mechanism and a social strategy. It allows the person initiating the flirt to save face in case the interest is not reciprocated. At the same time, it gives the receiver a choice to respond, ignore, or escalate the interaction. This delicate balance of risk and reward makes flirting thrilling. It's a social game, but one with real psychological stakes. Each interaction is a negotiation of interest, intent, and boundaries. Flirting can also be a reflection of a person's inner world. Some flirt out of genuine attraction, while others do it for validation, attention, or even habit. There are those who see flirting as a playful challenge, a way to sharpen their social skills or lift their mood. In all cases, the act serves a psychological function. It provides feedback about how we're perceived, reinforces our sense of self-worth, and satisfies the human need for connection. The mere act of engaging in a flirtatious exchange can boost confidence and elevate mood, even if it doesn't lead to anything further. In digital spaces, flirting has evolved but not disappeared. Emojis, typing patterns, memes, and reaction times have become the new tools of the trade. A well-placed heart emoji or a delayed but thoughtful reply can communicate interest just as effectively as a physical gesture. Technology has not erased the psychology of flirting, it has simply adapted it. The same principles of signaling interest, testing mutual attraction, and maintaining ambiguity still apply, just through different mediums. Ultimately, flirting as a social signaling system is a testament to the intricacies of human connection. It demonstrates how much we can say without saying anything at all. It's a dance of glances, gestures, and timing, all choreographed by our subconscious desire to bond, belong, and be desired. Whether intentional or spontaneous, subtle or bold, flirting reflects one of the most human things we do, reaching out toward another person, hoping they'll reach back. Neurochemistry plays a key role in flirting, influencing not only how we behave when we're attracted to someone, but also how we feel during and after the interaction. At first glance, flirting may seem like a light social game, a harmless exchange of compliments, glances, or jokes. But beneath the surface, a powerful cocktail of chemicals is being released in the brain, shaping our emotions, thoughts, and even decisions. These chemical messengers create the rush, the butterflies, and the magnetic pull we feel towards someone, making flirting not just a social activity, but a deeply biological one. When we flirt, our brains are actively processing potential reward, risk, and emotional stimulation. One of the key players in this process is dopamine, often referred to as the pleasure chemical. Dopamine is responsible for the feelings of excitement, anticipation, and pleasure. It's the same neurotransmitter that lights up when we eat delicious food, win a game, or hear good news. When someone flirts with us, whether through a compliment, meaningful eye contact, or even a touch, dopamine is released, making us feel good and encouraging us to continue the interaction. This reward pathway is why flirting can be so addictive. Every positive response we receive from the other person becomes a reinforcement loop, pushing us to keep engaging and deepening the connection. And another important chemical at play is oxytocin, commonly known as the bonding hormone. Oxytocin is released during moments of emotional connection, physical touch, or affectionate behavior. While often associated with long-term bonding in romantic or parental relationships, it also plays a subtle role during the early stages of attraction. A light touch on the arm, a shared laugh, or a moment of vulnerability can increase oxytocin levels, creating a sense of warmth, trust, and emotional closeness. This is especially significant in the context of flirting because it helps transform a casual encounter into something that feels more emotionally resonant. That feeling of clicking with someone often has more to do with oxytocin than with words themselves. Adrenaline and norepinephrine also have a major influence. These are stress hormones released during moments of excitement or perceived challenge. When we're nervous, perhaps because we're flirting with someone we find attractive or intimidating, our heart rate increases, palms sweat, and pupils dilate. This fight or flight response isn't just a sign of anxiety, it's also part of the thrill. The physiological arousal caused by adrenaline makes everything feel more intense. That's why a flirtatious conversation in an exciting environment like a party or a first date feels more electric. The brain interprets this arousal as attraction, a phenomenon known as misattribution of arousal. In essence, our body's excitement can trick our brain into feeling more romantically or sexually drawn to someone. Serotonin is another important player. Unlike dopamine, which spikes quickly and creates immediate pleasure, serotonin governs mood regulation, feelings of well-being, and social behavior. In the early stages of attraction, serotonin levels can actually drop, especially when we start to obsessively think about the other person. This decrease explains why people often feel giddy, distracted, or even anxious during the early stages of flirting. They can't stop thinking about the person they like. It's not just emotional, it's chemical. The brain is literally consumed by thoughts of the person, reinforcing the emotional focus on them and enhancing the desire to maintain the connection. Endorphins, the body's natural painkillers, are also released during flirtatious or romantic interactions. These chemicals reduce stress, promote a sense of well-being, and make us feel comfortable and safe. When flirting includes humor, playful teasing, or shared fun, endorphins help bond people together through positive emotional experiences. This is why people often feel relaxed and happy around someone they're romantically interested in. It's not just emotional compatibility, it's chemical synchronization. All of these neurochemicals work together to create a layered experience that feels spontaneous but is deeply rooted in biology. The release of these substances influences how we interpret facial expressions, body language, and tone of voice. They even affect memory. People often vividly remember the moments of their first flirtation with someone special. That memory is reinforced by the chemical rush experienced in the moment. These feelings don't come from logic or planning. They're the result of biological systems working behind the scenes to promote social bonding and potential reproduction. Interestingly, the same chemicals that enhance flirting can also impair judgment. Dopamine, in particular, increases impulsivity and lowers inhibitions. This is why people often take more risks or act more boldly when flirting. The chemical high overrides rational thought, leading to decisions that feel right in the moment, but might not make sense later. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's part of what makes flirting exciting and emotionally charged, but it does underscore how much of our behavior is influenced by factors beyond our conscious control. In the digital age, even virtual flirting activates these neurochemical systems. Receiving a message from someone you're attracted to can trigger a dopamine release, similar to getting a reward. A flirty text, emoji, or comment on social media can generate a cascade of chemical responses that mirror those experienced in face-to-face interaction. This shows that flirting, regardless of the platform, taps into the same biological roots. Ultimately, neurochemistry doesn't just support flirting, it drives it. The chemicals in our brains shape how we connect, how we feel, and how we behave in those delicate electric moments of attraction. Whether it's a glance across a crowded room or a text that makes your heart skip, the brain is orchestrating a symphony of signals that make flirting feel magical, meaningful, and sometimes utterly irresistible. Men and women often flirt differently, not because one gender is inherently more skilled or subtle than the other, but because of a mix of evolutionary psychology, social conditioning, and individual personality traits that shape their approaches. Flirting, at its core, is about signaling interest, availability, and desirability, but the strategies and cues used can vary significantly between men and women. These differences are not universal, but they reflect common patterns influenced by both biology and culture. From an evolutionary perspective, men and women have historically had different reproductive strategies, which influence how they express attraction. Men in general have evolved to be more overt and risk-taking in their flirting style. This includes using bold gestures, making direct compliments, and displaying confidence or dominance. These behaviors signal strength, social status, and genetic fitness, traits that, from an evolutionary standpoint, were associated with a better chance of survival and the ability to provide. When a man uses humor, stands tall, speaks with certainty, or takes the initiative to start a conversation, he is often displaying traits that align with traditional evolutionary cues of protection and resourcefulness. Women, on the other hand, have evolved to be more selective in choosing partners due to the higher biological investment in reproduction. Because of this, their flirting style tends to be more subtle, cautious, and nuanced. Rather than making the first move outright, women are more likely to signal interest through indirect means: prolonged eye contact, a soft smile, mirroring behavior, or open body posture. These signals allow them to gauge interest without overtly exposing themselves to rejection. This doesn't mean women are passive in flirting. Instead, they often control the interaction more discreetly, using their body language and social cues to invite or discourage further contact. Socialization plays a significant role in these patterns as well. From a young age, boys and girls are often taught different behaviors that become ingrained in their adult interactions. Boys are encouraged to be assertive, take initiative, and pursue what they want. Girls, in contrast, are often taught to be more reserved, to prioritize modesty, and to communicate indirectly. These early lessons manifest in how men and women approach flirting. A man might feel more comfortable walking up to a stranger and striking up a conversation, while a woman might prefer to use body language to draw attention and wait for the other person to make the first move. These aren't hard rules, but culturally reinforced tendencies that shape behavior over time. Flirting styles are also influenced by the ways men and women interpret and respond to signals. Men are generally more visually oriented in attraction, which can lead to a focus on physical appearance during flirting. Compliments about looks, prolonged staring, and immediate expressions of interest are common tactics. For women, attraction is often more holistic, incorporating verbal cues, emotional intelligence, and context. It may respond more strongly to a person's tone, conversation skills, or sense of humor. This doesn't mean men don't care about these things or that women aren't visual, but it highlights where initial attention may differ. Communication also varies between the sexes during flirtation. Men may use humor to impress or establish dominance. Playful teasing, jokes, and storytelling become tools to engage and entertain. Women often use laughter as a way to signal receptiveness, not just as a response to humor, but as a sign of interest. When a woman laughs at a man's joke, even if it's not particularly funny, it can be a powerful cue of encouragement. Meanwhile, women might use more open-ended questions and thoughtful listening to deepen connection. Their flirtation style often revolves around creating a safe and intimate space rather than making grand gestures. Physical touch is another domain where differences emerge. Men may be more likely to initiate contact, such as a handshake that lingers, a pat on the back, or a playful nudge. These actions can be a way of testing boundaries and signaling interest. Women, however, are often more strategic with touch. A light touch on the forearm, a brush of the hand, or leaning in closely can be subtle yet powerful indicators of attraction. These gestures are often more calculated, used to communicate warmth and openness while still maintaining plausible deniability. In terms of perception, there's also a difference in how flirting is received. Research has shown that men are more likely to interpret friendliness as flirtation, while women are more cautious, sometimes missing or underestimating flirtatious signals. This discrepancy can lead to confusion or mismatched expectations. A man might think he's being invited to pursue, while a woman may simply be being polite. Understanding these different perceptions is crucial in navigating flirtatious interactions without miscommunication. More cultural context further complicates these gendered behaviors. In more conservative cultures, women may be even more reserved in their flirting due to societal expectations, while in more liberal environments, the gender gap in flirting style may be narrower. Similarly, as gender roles evolve and become more fluid, traditional flirting behaviors are also changing. More women are taking initiative, and more men are becoming attuned to subtle signals and emotional dynamics. The modern dating world is reshaping how both men and women approach flirtation, often blending traditionally masculine and feminine behaviors. While the ways men and women flirt are often different, they are both rooted in the same fundamental desire: to connect, to be seen, and to feel wanted. These differences don't represent limitations, but variations in style and strategy shaped by a mix of instinct and influence. Recognizing and appreciating these differences can lead to more successful and respectful interactions, allowing each person to navigate attraction in a way that feels both natural and effective. Flirting is more about connection than outcome. While many people assume that the purpose of flirting is to secure a date, initiate a romantic relationship, or gain a specific result, the true essence of flirting lies in the shared moment between two individuals. It's about energy, attention, and emotional resonance. Whether or not it leads to something tangible, the act of flirting itself is a valuable human experience, one that affirms connection, curiosity, and presence. At its core, flirting is a form of play, a way to engage with someone in a manner that is lighthearted, open, and infused with possibility. When people flirt, they are not just trying to get something, they are creating a shared space where they both can be seen, appreciated, and emotionally stimulated. This mutual awareness, often wordless and subtle, is where the true magic lies. The smiles, the glances, the teasing remarks, all of these things help establish a rapport that says, I'm enjoying this moment with you. Even if the interaction doesn't result in a date, a kiss, or a deeper relationship, the feeling of connection can still be deeply satisfying. Let's give 3 examples. Flirting, when done with authenticity and respect, enhances the human need for validation and intimacy. It's a way of saying you matter enough for me to give you my attention, and that gesture alone can have a powerful impact. In an increasingly fast-paced and distracted world, the act of stopping to engage with someone playfully and attentively is rare and valuable. It reaffirms the social nature of humans and reminds us that we can bring joy and meaning to each other's lives through small, spontaneous interactions. The experience of flirting also brings people into the present moment. Unlike conversations driven by goals or agendas, flirting is more improvisational. It depends on the flow of the exchange, the chemistry in the air, and the unique dynamic between the two individuals involved. This spontaneity invites people to be more emotionally available and to express parts of themselves they might not show in other settings. Humor, vulnerability, wit, and confidence all have space to emerge. Flirting creates a temporary bubble where people are freer to express who they are, not necessarily in search of a commitment, but in search of resonance. Additionally, flirting helps people feel alive. It awakens the senses and injects a sense of possibility into the ordinary. The nervous excitement that comes from wondering how the other person will respond, the pleasure in making someone smile, or the warmth of shared laughter, these elements bring vitality to daily life. Even fleeting flirtations that never go beyond a few exchanged glances can leave a lasting emotional imprint. These moments often linger in memory, not because of what they led to, but because of how they made people feel attractive, appreciated, energized. This emotional enrichment is part of what makes flirting such a universally enjoyed experience. It allows individuals to explore their desirability without necessarily having to act on it. It provides space for mutual recognition without expectation. Not every flirtation is meant to go somewhere. Sometimes people flirt just to brighten someone's day, to explore their own charisma, or to enjoy the delightful unpredictability of human interaction. When the focus shifts from achieving a particular outcome to simply sharing a moment of connection, the pressure disappears. What's left is a more genuine, present, and fulfilling interaction. Flirting is also a form of communication that transcends language. It often relies on tone, facial expression, eye contact, and body language. These subtle cues create a dance of emotional attunement where both participants are reading and responding to each other's signals in real time. This level of nonverbal exchange builds a kind of intimacy that can't always be explained, but is undeniably felt. It allows people to connect across barriers like language, background, and personality. A shared moment of flirtation can happen in silence with a simple look or a brief smile and still carry meaning. That level of connection is its own reward. Moreover, when people flirt without the burden of expectation, they become more attuned to the needs and responses of the other person. Flirting becomes less about trying to impress or manipulate and more about mutual enjoyment. The focus shifts to listening, feeling, and being present. This dynamic fosters respect and empathy, making the experience safer, more playful, and more fulfilling for both parties. It becomes a conversation, not a conquest. Another important dimension is that flirting can improve people's mental and emotional well-being. The boost in confidence that comes from a positive flirtatious exchange can be significant. It can remind someone of their charm, their ability to connect, and their social power. It reinforces their self-worth not through validation from others alone, but through their own ability to participate in meaningful interactions. It's not about needing someone to flirt back. It's about remembering one's own vibrancy and appeal. In this way, flirting becomes more than a romantic tool. It becomes an expression of life itself. It affirms individuality and interconnectedness at the same time. It shows that people can approach each other with curiosity, humor, and lightness without demanding a specific result. It encourages emotional openness in a world that often rewards caution and control. And above all, it reminds people that relationships, whether for a second or a lifetime, are built not just on outcomes, but on the quality of moments shared between two human beings. Authenticity is crucial when it comes to flirting because it forms the foundation of trust, emotional safety, and genuine connection. At its core, flirting is not just a performance or a set of tactics to impress someone. It is a form of self-expression and social interaction. When someone flirts authentically, they are not hiding behind a persona, pretending to be someone they are not, or using manipulation to gain attention. Instead, they are presenting themselves honestly, allowing their natural personality to come through, and engaging from a place of openness and sincerity. This kind of flirting resonates more deeply because it feels real, and that sense of realness creates a stronger emotional bond. People are naturally drawn to authenticity. It's something we can sense, even if we can't always articulate it. A smile that comes from a place of genuine joy is different from one that's forced. A compliment that is sincerely felt carries more weight than one that's delivered with an agenda. When someone flirts authentically, the interaction feels more like a meaningful connection rather than a calculated move. This quality draws others in, not just because it's attractive, but because it's rare. In a world filled with filters, facades, and performances, being real stands out. Authentic flirting starts with self-awareness. When people know who they are, what they want, and what makes them feel good, they can engage with others without needing approval or trying to be someone they think others want them to be. This kind of self-possession is inherently attractive because it shows confidence without arrogance. A person who flirts with authenticity doesn't rely on cheesy pickup lines, exaggerated stories, or strategies borrowed from dating advice columns. They simply allow their personality to lead, whether that's witty, shy, bold, or quirky, and they trust that the right person will respond to who they truly are. This level of honesty in flirting also fosters comfort and safety. When someone is being genuine, it signals to the other person that they can also relax and be themselves. It removes the pressure to impress or compete and creates a space where both people can explore their chemistry without fear of being misled. Authentic flirting communicates, "This is me, I'm not trying to trick you, I just want to enjoy this moment with you." That kind of vulnerability is powerful because it invites mutual openness, which is the beginning of any meaningful connection. Remember, authenticity helps build rapport because it allows the interaction to evolve naturally. When flirting is based on rehearsed lines or behavior meant to impress, it often feels disjointed or unnatural. The energy becomes about performance rather than connection. But when someone simply responds in the moment, listens actively, and shares honestly, the conversation flows better. It becomes a dance where both people are reacting to each other in real time rather than sticking to a pre-written script. This kind of exchange is more engaging, more memorable, and ultimately more fulfilling. Authentic flirting also includes emotional honesty. It's not just about showing your best qualities, it's about being willing to show your humanity. Being a little nervous, stumbling over a word, or making a silly joke are all part of real human interaction. Instead of trying to hide these moments, someone who flirts authentically embraces them. They might laugh at themselves, admit they're feeling awkward, or make light of the moment. Ironically, these imperfections are often what make the most charming. Vulnerability, when expressed with confidence, is one of the most attractive traits a person can have because it shows strength and self-acceptance. In addition, authenticity aligns flirting with integrity. It ensures that intentions are clear and that the other person is not being misled. Someone who flirts authentically doesn't say things they don't mean or lead someone on for the sake of validation. They flirt because they are genuinely interested or enjoying the connection, and they communicate that interest respectfully. This prevents confusion, protects emotions, and maintains emotional responsibility on both sides. It creates a healthier environment for connection, one where mutual respect is prioritized over ego gratification. Another reason authenticity is so important is that it lays the groundwork for anything that may follow. Whether the flirtation leads to a friendship, a date, or a deeper relationship, the first impression sets the tone. If someone begins the connection by pretending to be something they're not, they will either have to maintain that facade or eventually reveal the truth, which can lead to disappointment or mistrust. On the other hand, starting with authenticity ensures that anything built on top of that moment is grounded in reality. The person they're connecting with is responding to who they really are, not an idealized version crafted to impress. Being authentic in flirting also helps people filter more effectively. When you're yourself, you attract people who resonate with you, not with a mask you're wearing. This means the connections you make are more likely to be meaningful and sustainable. Pretending to be someone else may get attention, but it often leads to shallow or incompatible interactions. By staying true to yourself, you give others the chance to truly see and appreciate you, and you also create the conditions for deeper, more honest relationships. Ultimately, authenticity in flirting is a reflection of how someone relates to themselves. When people are comfortable in their own skin, they don't need to prove anything. They flirt not to chase an outcome, but to share a moment. They enjoy the interaction for what it is, not what it could become. This presence, this honesty, and this grounded confidence are what truly make flirting not just a tool for attraction, but a meaningful human experience. Flirting is a universal human behavior that transcends culture, geography, and even time. It exists in every society, every language, and every age group, though it may take different forms depending on the context. Regardless of where someone is from or what traditions they follow, flirting appears as a consistent thread in the tapestry of human interaction. This universality speaks to its deep roots in human psychology and social behavior. It is not merely a cultural construct or a modern social game, but a fundamental part of how people communicate interest, desire, and emotional availability. The universality of flirting stems from its biological and evolutionary origins. Long before the development of spoken language, early humans relied on nonverbal cues to express attraction and intent. Body posture, eye contact, facial expressions, and touch were, and still are, essential tools for signaling interest in a way that feels both safe and intriguing. Across the animal kingdom, we see similar behaviors. Courtship dances in birds, grooming in primates, and ritualized displays in countless species all serve as early models for what we recognize as flirting today. In humans, these behaviors have become more complex, layered with emotional nuance and social intelligence, but the underlying purpose remains the same: connecting and bonding with another individual. What makes flirting truly universal is that it is not limited to romantic or sexual contexts. While attraction is often a central theme, flirting also appears in platonic, playful, and even professional environments. Children flirt innocently to get attention or affection from adults. Friends may flirt to build camaraderie or playfully challenge each other. Even in the workplace, a light, respectful form of flirtation can emerge as a way to ease tension and build rapport, though of course boundaries must always be respected. In each of these settings, the goal is connection, emotional, intellectual, or physical, and flirting becomes a natural vehicle for initiating that connection. Despite cultural differences, the signals used in flirting share remarkable consistency. Smiling, laughing, making eye contact, leaning in, touching one's face or hair, mirroring the other person's movements. These gestures are recognizable across the globe. Researchers studying cross-cultural communication have found that people from vastly different backgrounds can accurately identify flirtatious behavior, even when they don't speak the same language. This suggests that the mechanics of flirting are embedded in human nature. Even when societal norms dictate different roles or behaviors for men and women, the instinct to flirt and the basic human need for connection remain. Moreover, flirting plays a crucial role in social bonding and the development of relationships. It helps break down barriers, ease anxiety, and establish trust. It allows individuals to test compatibility in a low-stakes, playful environment. Through flirting, people gather important information about each other's sense of humor, emotional intelligence, confidence, and responsiveness. These signals help individuals determine whether they want to pursue a deeper relationship. In that way, flirting serves not just as an introduction, but as an early form of mutual assessment. It sets the tone for what may come, and often it does so more effectively than words alone. The emotional and psychological benefits of flirting also help explain its universality. Flirting boosts mood, self-esteem, and social engagement. It offers a chance to feel seen, appreciated, and desired, which are all fundamental emotional needs. For many, a positive flirtatious exchange can brighten an otherwise ordinary day. It activates reward centers in the brain, releasing dopamine and creating a sense of excitement and possibility. This pleasurable experience reinforces the behavior and encourages future social interactions. Over time, flirting contributes to emotional resilience and well-being as it fosters a sense of belonging and interpersonal connection. Even among different age groups, flirting shows up in ways appropriate to the context. Teenagers might flirt awkwardly as they begin to navigate the world of attraction. Adults may flirt more confidently, having learned from past experiences. Older adults may continue to flirt, not just as a means of pursuing relationships, but as a way of staying socially and emotionally active. The adaptability of flirting, its ability to shift form depending on age, culture, or setting, is part of what makes it so enduring. It's not confined to a single life stage or purpose. Rather, it evolves with the individual and remains relevant across a lifetime. Technology has further expanded the reach of flirting, yet it has not altered its core function. Online dating, texting, emojis, voice notes, and video chats have simply created new avenues for expressing interest and attraction. The underlying behaviors, complimenting, teasing, showing attentiveness, and expressing humor, are still there, just delivered through different mediums. Even in virtual spaces, the dynamics of flirting remain grounded in the same human needs: to be noticed, to be liked, and to feel connected. The emergence of digital flirting only reaffirms its universality, showing that regardless of how humans evolve, the desire to flirt and be flirted with remains constant. In times of social difficulty, stress, or upheaval, flirting can also serve as a coping mechanism. It offers a momentary escape from the pressures of daily life, a spark of playfulness that reminds people of their humanity. It can lighten moods, bridge differences, and bring laughter into otherwise serious spaces. In this sense, flirting is not only universal, but essential. It reflects the resilient, joyful side of human nature, the part that seeks beauty, connection, and spontaneity, even in the face of adversity. It is a quiet yet powerful reminder that beneath all the differences, people everywhere share the same longing to connect and be understood. And so, at its heart, the psychology behind flirting isn't just about charm, attraction, or clever lines. It's about the deep human need to connect, to be seen, and to share a moment of possibility with another person. Whether subtle or bold, playful or sincere, flirting reflects who we are at our most open, curious, hopeful, and wired for connection. It reminds us that beneath all the games and gestures lies something profoundly human: the desire to reach out, feel understood, and maybe, just maybe, spark something unforgettable.